Hello, and welcome back to a kind of spread out vlog featuring my cute critter auto battler that I'm calling Project Caribou. I'm here on this screen because my tripod broke and I haven't gotten a new one, and I don't have a really good way to film myself without the tripod on my usual camera, which is my phone. So I'm here. This is my stream camera. I figure it works just as well. And as of my last update, I've reached feature complete of my current game, which means all the features are done. I just need to add stuff to them, add content, fix things that are a little bit off, balance it, really get it into its final polished state. So that's what I worked on in this vlog. I did put goals up on my Kanban board back there, which I will show on a proper clip. In my usual style, I way overestimated the amount of things I could get done in a month, so I did pretty good. A little spoiler, I did pretty good, but I did not get anywhere near all of the things done that I wanted to get done for the month of May. There are some reasons for this, and one of them is that I'm doing a subathon tomorrow to celebrate 3 years of streaming on Twitch. I'm very excited, but it has required quite a bit of prep setup. I've had to get some life things in order, like figuring out food to eat, making sure the house is in a decent state before I stream for potentially an entire week. I just finished the 100-day project, which I think I will make a video about. But all of these things were taking up my time, and I knew that I was gonna do them, and for some reason I just didn't put that in my estimate when I was planning out how much I could get done in a month. I just wanted to mention it because I feel like this one's a little light, especially from the outside. There's not a lot of visible changes. A lot of it is code changes, but I'm still feeling pretty good. I feel like I'm on the right track, and I'm excited about the subathon. Depending on when you're watching this, it's either happening tomorrow or it has happened a week ago. But because my hard cap is not till the end of June, if people are very generous, I could still be going. So I would recommend going over to Twitch to see if I'm there, and giving me a follow. That's what I would recommend. You don't have to do it. But by the way, I'm Savalian. I'm a developer and an artist, and I make videos about games, game development, creativity, whatever else I feel like making videos about. Hi. But enough introduction and enough of this camera angle. Let's get into the vlog. I started off working on icons. I have a lot of places in my game's UI where I wanted to use iconography to convey information. This is one of the ways you can avoid having to translate a lot of things, and a lot of the time it can be more descriptive as long as you have an icon that people understand. And the biggest place I wanted to use icons was on the critter menus. There's one for summoning critters into battle, there's one for customizing vanity options, and I'll probably also use icons for quests that involve critters. My original vision for the icons was this flat, simple design because I am not a graphic designer and I did not think I could make anything painterly look good, but I was browsing ArtStation and I saw some icons that look kind of metallic, and for some reason I just wanted to do that. And so I did it. I made my best attempt. And when I started these icons, I had just gotten my Huion tablet, which I believe I have a review coming out for after this video, but we'll see how the schedule shakes out. But I was still getting used to the tablet, so the first icon was kind of rough. I did a lot of layers where I just sort of redid what I already did, trying to find the right brush settings and the right process, but by the time I did all 4 of them, I feel like I got a pattern down. I got a little bit better at getting what I want onto the digital canvas, Once I got the critter icons done, I had to get them into the game, but I had actually prepared for this in advance. So the scriptable objects I saved my critters into had a property for a sprite for the icon. So I just added lines of code to actually load those icons, added them in, and there it is. Critter icons for all of my current critters. I will need to make another for the bear I made. I haven't fully added him to the game because I need to think about what sort of moves he has, what sort of effects I'm gonna need, and so that's gonna happen later. And then I also need icons for the enemies. With the critters complete, I moved on to menu icons, and these I did do in a more simple style, just flat designs, just because I didn't think everything needed to be real flashy. Maybe I'll regret this later and want to unify them, but I'll see how it feels for now. And I made them white with a transparent background so that I could use color tints if I wanted to, instead of having to make different colored images for when I want it to be like highlighted and things like that. So I can just use the image tint and get sort of exactly the color that I want. And these were pretty easy to add. Since these aren't being loaded in at runtime, I could just add them in the UI editor and it was fine. The next thing I tackled is something that I thought would be simple but tedious and ended up being quite a bit more complicated than I expected, and still pretty tedious. When I originally made my player gear, like hats, pants, and hairstyles and stuff, I was using a different texture layout for my colors. I use a lazy UV method for texturing, which I have talked about before and will probably talk about again. And so it's important that the texture dimensions match so that everything can just be slid over into a different position. So I really needed to convert all these to use the new texture so I could use the same shaders and the same systems for UV sliding. So I had to go through and update the 3D models for all of the items I made to make sure that they are formatted correctly, and then re-import those items into the game. There were two problems that I noticed immediately. One is that it's very repetitive to add color styles for each piece of gear, especially since I was just adding the same colors for each one basically. So I needed a way to make that process less mind-numbing. And the second problem is that putting all the color options on the screen in the little menu was taking up a huge amount of visual space. I couldn't figure out how to lay them out on screen in a clean way that gave you enough information about the colors to make your pick, but not just like fill the screen. And I still haven't quite fixed this. I've made several adjustments where I just strip away more and more information. I took out the names of each of the skins and some of the like padding and borders and just made a really small like color swatch, and I'm still not totally happy with it, so I'll probably go over this again and see what I can do. And then to solve the first problem, I ended up going over the data objects a few times before landing on a solution that I think will be good. But the short version of this was that I was initially defining for each color option which game object it was for, which row the color swatch was on, and which column I wanted it to move to. So I was repeating a lot of information for, you know, like say one hat has two like color areas, basically color regions. I was defining the game object and the row for each of those color regions on each color option. This is gonna get real dense, and I'm sorry. I'm trying to explain it the best I can. But basically what I did was pull those two things out so that just for each color option I do have two entries, and it grabs the information for those two entries from the parent object. So I'm just defining it once in one place and then reusing it for all the different options. And I was also using unique IDs for the color option, and I'm just going to do a very simple change for this where I'm combining it with the ID of the parent object so that it is unique, and then I don't have to go in and edit the numbers on each single color option. I can just sort of copy paste, you know, 50 options for each thing, and then edit those parent values, and it should be much quicker. I'm hoping. I've only got it kind of working for one before I had to sort of wrap things up for this vlog, but it seems like it's going to work a lot better. And I should be able to extend this system to the critters as well, since the recoloring, you know, the reskinning is just very similar. It uses the same code with just slightly different values for the critters and for the player gear. So I should be able to simplify a couple of different things with this work. And that was the big task for this vlog, because in addition to making these code changes and testing them out, I had to open up each model, move the UVs to be in the right position for the new texture. Sometimes I would make changes to the mesh, make it a little smoother, add geometry to like clean things up, adjust the colors a bit where they are on the gradients. Then I had to export from Blender, import to Unity, add data to all these data files, the scriptable objects, load it up and make sure it's working, and fix anything that I messed up. So it's been a lot of work, but it's been very repetitive and tedious work, just like I predicted. I also uncovered another little bug in my UV sliding code where the third color option was just not working, so I fixed that as well. And I've also been thinking about whether I want the gear pieces to have a functional purpose in the game, like giving a bonus or having stats. I was originally planning on no. I just wanted them to be fun prizes for the player, to let them customize their little person to fit their style. But I've had this nagging feeling like it's not cohesive enough. Like they need to be tied in some other way. And I'm just really not sure what I want to do. So I may do a little deep dive on vanity options in other games. Okay, it may not sound like much compared to a lot of my, more visible updates, but this was a huge amount of work. I'm very happy with how things are filling out with this change. It's going to let me add a lot of vanity objects to the game pretty easily from this point forward. I won't need to do as much tweaking once I get one sort of big color set finished and figured out. I still need to think through the UI for how I'm going to lay out all these options in a way that's not annoying to look at, but for now everything works. We have a lot of options that I can add to later, and it'll be much easier to add new things, and it won't be quite a slog like I mentioned. And the next items on my to-do list for my what I'm calling my content release are to, well, first finish adding all the vanity items, which is what I started on in this video, and then next go through, design a bunch of quests and make items for different quest types, and get all of that content plugged into the quest system. Do the same thing for player choices, the options that come up every few rounds that let you power up certain critters. These are two things where the systems themselves are fairly simple, but what is really going to make them compelling features is the actual effect they have on the gameplay, which is something I'm still working on. I only have a couple of examples in there right now, and I really need to flesh out what that system's going to do and what it's going to look like and how it's going to be laid out on screen. And I'm really excited because this is where the meat goes on the bones, and I love that. I also have a task on my list to start working on lore, which I think will also act as the tutorial, some small thing to explain to the player what they can do, why they're doing it, what the backstory is for this little character and their cute critters and what they're battling. So I need to start thinking about that. I have some notes on what I want there, but I'm just not sure how it's gonna look in its final form and where it's gonna come up throughout the gameplay. So those are things I have coming up, but that's all I've got for you today. Just a little snack of a devlog today, a little update on what I've been doing, slowly getting closer to completing my game. Maybe it'll go a little faster when I'm done with my subathon, but maybe not. Knowing me, I'll come up with another big project to work on that will take attention away, because that's just kind of what I do. And before I let you go, maybe you can help. in the comments, let me know any games that you like that do vanity items or visual unlockable items or like customizable player gear. Let me know any games that do these things in a way that you find compelling, in a way that makes you want to play more so you can unlock more and see more. Because I really want to learn. I want to look at some other games. I want to see what they do, and I want to think about whether I need to make any changes to my system to really hook people in. So let me know. Let me know what you like. Now don't forget to subscribe. Like I mentioned at the beginning, I am Savalian. I make videos about games, game development, creativity, and other. I'll be back soon with another video, and I hope to see you there. Okay, bye-bye.